Hey all, and welcome back to the HFC playthrough of Shadow Generations. We have a new Doom power to acquire, so let's not keep it waiting and head on over.
This is everyone's favourite one, right?
Yeah, there's some teething problems with this one. I think I mentioned it when I finished the game over on Twitter. I said this one could have probably used a bit more time in the oven, but we'll see. I'll pay closer attention to the tutorials this time.
Yes, because I mean, I have to say, I don't know whether I missed something during the tutorials for this one or not. Most of it makes sense. There's just sort of, one manoeuvre that I just could never actually pull off, and it was a bit frustrating.
No, I'm a kid now. I don't want to be a squid now. This will be Splatoon in 2028.
Well, that animation's a little bit of foreshadowing for what's coming up later and all, isn't it?
Yes.
So yeah, it's your sort of half Splatoon, half Spider-Man manoeuvre.
Alright, change forms by pressing square during a jump through a morph ball, speed through the corruption, and jump to great heights by using another ball, adjust the direction. Okay, change forms by pressing... Okay.
So when you're homing attack onto them ball things, that's what transitions you into it.
Ooh, Lava Shelter, my favourite level in Shadow the Hedgehog.
It's definitely one of the better ones, yeah. I also really like about that one, because that's the one that's the last one on its particular route, so you have to do it twice. I really like how both of the missions have such completely different routes to them as well.
Ah, the Black Comet. Very cool.
An oddly detailed Black Comet.
Yeah, definitely wasn't like that in 05, I can tell you that much.
I will say, I am surprised that we didn't get a Black Comet level in this game, given that was like one of the most distinct and most commonly used big level themes from Shadow itself. I know that's been one of the criticisms of this game as a whole, in the fact that there's not much representation from Shadow's own game in the level picks, because there is the Space Colony Arc level, which does use parts of the Arc, and the remix is kind of based on it, but even then it's like that's more of an SA2 thing.
I suppose. I mean, to be honest, it's something that I didn't necessarily pay attention to, but I think that's because I've never played Shadow to begin with. I don't necessarily have that connection, and I think that's probably what they were aiming for. They pretty much expected that most people who will be playing this will have played the majority of the mainline Sonic games, but they won't have necessarily played any of the spin-offs. So even though, Black Doom's here and there's all of that plot that nobody will blub and know about if they haven't followed it along, I think there's sort of that balance of they're thinking that people will know these levels, they might not know the levels from Shadow.
I just think they had an amazing level of restraint not using Westopolis at the very least.
I mean, fair.
For a Shadow level, that would be the one that you think, they've done it 10 times already, and 11th thrown at. But yes, Chaos Island. This is one that caught me by surprise, both because it's bringing Frontiers into this when Shadow himself wasn't in Frontiers is an interesting choice, but not one that I'm necessarily opposed to.
No.
But also the fact that I think Chaos Island, for a level that was as open in Frontiers itself, actually adapts to a boost level very well.
It
I
does.
really like this level.
I think, it's a really clever way of bringing Frontiers gameplay loop to this game, and I do agree that I think it works really quite well. Yes, Doom Morph is perhaps a little bit more frustrating than it should be, but really it's mostly okay outside of some frustrations with getting onto walls. Sometimes that can be a pain, and just mastering the ability to shoot through a ball or swing from a ball, and that's sort of the thing that you have to kind of figure out how to do, and it's the difference of tapping versus holding. The one thing that I particularly particularly found troublesome with the Doom Morph was if you are going like these situations where I want to do that, I can never quite figure out the way of doing that with the controller.
Talked a lot about the Doom Morph being the weak one. It's fine once you get a feel for it. It's just that it has such a distinct learning curve to it when the other powers, like the other ones are like Doom Spears, hold triangle, cool, got it. Like, whereas this one you do actually have to kind of think about a bit, even more so than the Surf. It also, it's not quite as much of a spectacle as the Surf one, so that kind of knocks down its rankings for me as well.
Yeah.
But like the actual mechanic that they're going for, once you know what you're doing with it, it can be satisfying in its own right.
There we go.
And I do like that we are getting a little bit of everything from Chaos Island as well, which I'm surprised I'm saying, because in Frontiers itself, Chaos Island was the one that I was wishing, like, hey, can I get this shit over with, please?
Yeah.
Even the music now, I know that when the music was first posted on the YouTube channel, this was one that was a lot more contentious, and I think it's because the clash of the dubstep elements with the soft piano just didn't sit well for some people, but I actually really like it.
Yeah, and I think it's also a nice kind of change from the majority of the rest of the soundtrack, which is much more classic Sonic soundtrack. It's nice to have that sort of the soundtrack that is actually much more akin to Frontiers' soundtrack, but also just something a little bit different, and it gives this level its own identity, which is really nice to see.
What it's doing is it's kind of rearranging the overworld movements from Chaos Island as though they were a cyberspace level. So it's kind of getting both elements from Frontiers, really.
Yes. And I think that's what makes it probably most effective in sort of pulling that off. So even though, you know, people weren't necessarily best pleased with it as a level, I think it works.
That might have been the best run I ever had of that.
It is a lot harder to get the S rank down in Chaos Island in particular, I've noticed.
Be filled in, Island of Chaos. Reuser of Asset Land.
Well, they didn't reuse the pinball, so we're fine on that count.
Oh, God bless. Can you imagine?
Yeah, Christ.
So now we're just slowing it down a little bit now.
Yeah, this rearrangement of the song I'm not quite as big on, because I like this opening part of it. I just feel like it's got too quick of a transition into the next phase when that kicks in. The first act, what they were going for was obvious. It was like having the kind of glitch remix, which is kind of common these days. Like they mash in the piano part with that, whereas this one, it's like it goes very quickly from one mood to another mood. It's a bit less consistent.
That's fair.
There we go. Ain't getting hit by dung balls today, lads. Things are looking up.
No, we've got Sonic Rush for that. That's fine.
I actually forgot all about that. That's in Egypt land, isn't it?
Yeah, and the one with the Ethno Circus song, which is still the best one in the game. Fuck you.
No. You tried to get in there, you motherfucker. You tried.
I'm trying to master the Richie thing of very quickly like ending a train of thought with the controversial take.
Yeah.
It's going to take you a while to get to that point, Flame. Like, I have spent many years mastering that technique.
It is very impressive, I'll say that much.
There we go. Now we get the goop corridors.
Yeah.
These sections where you get to fire yourself through like that and get a burst of speed are really fun. So that's a dub for the Doom Morph.
These just go down at their own rate, but you can control them.
Yeah, you have more control over these than the like spinny things from Sky Sanctuary. So I can give Shadow that one as well.
I mean, to be honest, I think this is probably the point where I say that, like, I don't think there are actually any bad levels in Shadow Generations, whereas like in a lot of other Sonic titles, you can say there are certain levels where you're just like, nah, this one's just absolute bull. I didn't ever feel like that throughout the entirety of this game, and that just made me very, very happy. Like, even the ones that maybe are a bit more challenging, I never felt like it was a game problem. I always was just like, well, this is just because I'm not necessarily quite as good as I could be.
There's no Generations Planet Wisp, and
Yes.
I think just the consistency is why I think when you look at both sides of the packages, like complete games, Shadow wins for me, because like Sonic Generations is an absolutely wonderful game, but it does sort of lose steam at the end, whereas this one, it just keeps going. Speaking of Sonic Generations...
Ooh, a little bit of crossover. That's where Shadow was for his boss fight.
I found you, Shadow.
Suddenly the Frontiers model.
Suddenly the Ian Flynn script.
It's fine. For Generations, he's allowed to do a few of these.
But I swear to God, if Eggman says I'll show you what I'm made of, Sonic, in the next game.
Emerald and I have a date with a monster.
Well then, it'll be a date to die for.
Sonic Heroes reference, yeah.
I remember Heroes.
I clapped with one hand, because if I clapped with two, I would have to put the controller down.
I do want to say I genuinely appreciate how they held off on bringing Sonic in until this late in the game.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that does wonders for letting Shadow Generations have its own identity, rather than just being like an expansion for Sonic Generations.
Absolutely.
That was one of the problems that the writing and tone of Shadow the Hedgehog kind of had. It's that they were clearly going for a darker tone. Then you would have Sonic show up and be like, hey, welcome to the next level, it's time to rock and roll, and it just didn't really mesh.
And Charmy B was like, what's a top secret disc?
Nice hustle, but I won this one.
So I guess it's implied in Sonic Generations during the boss fight, Shadow only lost because he got distracted by the temptation of his Doom powers.
A little bit more so. He didn't really want to put in all of his energy because, you know, he doesn't want to hurt Sonic. He might not be his friend, but it's not like he actually hates the guy.
Terms are not at all.
It feels more like a pride thing, like he says I want to beat him on equal terms there, which Shadow's honourable, yet another virtue the man has.
As a fake emerald.
But I will say, I do love, in one sense, that it contextualises why the Shadow fight in
As a professional
Generations is so bloody easy.
Yeah.
Part of me kind of wishes that we were able to play that boss fight from Shadow's perspective here.
Yeah.
There's also part of me that kind of wishes they'd maybe just pumped up the saturation a little bit more in the cutscene, just because that's really the only thing that I think looks worse in the direct comparison between the Generations version of the scene and this version of the scene. Like, this version of the scene is technically far better, but just like a little bit more colour.
Well, it's because it's pre-rendered, so it's got video compression, which the in-game cutscenes don't have.
That's fair.
That's always going to be a problem with that kind of thing. And I'm glad we're at a point now where games don't have to pre-render as much.
Yes.
When they're like, those were assets they were using from Sonic Generations rather than Shadow Generations, so it's, if they were to bring them in there, I understand that they would have then had to pull from that and it would have bulked up the file size, basically duplicating it. And Sonic Team aren't Game Freak, so, you know.
In many ways, and also in many ways not, yes. Sorry, I just want this golden bolt. There we go. Now, we've got a few platforming challenges around here that are tempting me.
Very Frontiers-esque platforming challenges.
Yes, they are.
Not just in the visual side of things, like obviously those are the same platforms and that, but just in the structure of them itself. These are the kind of tricks that Frontiers had you doing mid-air, aren't they?
I mean, I think that's quite cool, to be honest, because it really does show the evolution of this style of gameplay and sort of what they decided to try and expand with it on.
Prison Island. Like I said, what's a top secret disc? Look out below!
My fucking ankles.
I'm glad we can link back up. I know you'll be a big help. I'll keep scouting around and gather intel for you. The sooner we're out of here, the better.
Why am I hovering 2 inches off the floor?
Well, why are you glowing like that, Shadow? I'm sparkling, actually, thank you. I can't believe you went to all that trouble to give Sonic that fake. You're such a softie. He'll know it's a fake soon, so hurry up. Get this, he's being helped by his younger self from the past. They act the same, but his past self is a lot quieter. You'd like him. Anyway, I'll keep tabs on Sonic and his friends and update you. And watch out for a giant, flying, time-eating monster. It's a jerk.
Say that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, word. Right, let's go around and talk to people. I've missed my robot friend. You were designed to be the ultimate life form, a living weapon. Sonic was not. All of his talents are latent, natural. He is your equal in speed and strength.
Unable to process.
Does not compute. Power levels optimal. I do not run on inferior animal extractors like the previous E100 units.
Oh.
Nor do I run on feeble power cores. I possess a unique energy core. I am unstoppable.
Omega runs on bloodlust, let's be aware.
My energy core is not related to the Chaos Emerald. Stop asking. It is a unique crystal matrix that recharges through movement and absorption of environmental energies. Therefore, I can fight forever. Filing this data under joy.
I love Omega so much.
Yeah, I have missed him very much.
Yeah, he's great.
I feel like, carrying on from what I was saying about how Shadow works better not being so dependent on Sonic, I feel like if we're gonna get more Shadow games, I feel like divorcing his story from Sonic even further wouldn't hurt, and you would, if you have Omega and Rouge as Shadow supporting cast, they just have such a good dynamic.
Yeah.
I don't think you're getting this one.
Damn it! My luck is terrible with these.
To be fair, they put like 20 billion spike balls in your way on that one.
I know. Ooh, another Golt, or Gold Bolt, if you will.
You don't have to abbreviate 2 words.
I do. It's faster. And you know how your boy feels about going fast. No, I need to talk to Big. Oh, you've been to the Ark too? It's pretty neat. What? Yeah, I've been there.
When?
He was fishing there.
Froggy ran off this one time and led me on a crazy adventure. 2. I think I saw you passing by a few times?
Yeah, because that's referring to the big cameos in SA2, isn't it?
Of course.
One time Dr. Eggman kidnapped Froggy and fed him to a water monster. Sonic helped me to rescue him. True story. I used to have that yellow Chaos Emerald too, you know. Yup, it was my lucky charm for a while. Then one day Froggy ate it and grew a tail, which led to all sorts of trouble. True story. Good for you, man.
He seems really insecure that Shadow's not going to believe anything he says.
I mean, when somebody you're talking to is just scowling at you, I would probably feel a little bit insecure about everything as well, to be fair.
Fair.
That's just Shadow's natural state, don't judge him.
Oh no, there's no judgment of Shadow whatsoever. It's just that anybody with, resting shadow face talking to anybody you'd get worried, I think.
If we can resolve this crisis, we will return to whence we came. Space-time will settle and shift back into place, like rippling water becoming calm again. Whatever will be, whatever has been, must remain intact.
Calm down and be like water, Shadow.
What's that? You're acquainted with a time traveller? Well, I cannot account for his actions. All I can do is advise you as I always have. Concentrate on solving the crisis at hand. I'll look after Maria. We'll deal with the rest as it comes. You really are a father figure. You're still not convinced about changing your destiny, hmm? Think of it this way. If you changed our past, it would rewrite your future. All your triumphs, all you've learned, all the good you have done would cease to be. What will be, although That is something I struggle with myself sometimes, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I'm sure. So it seems we've been apart longer than I thought. Have you made many friends? I saw you racing away in the distance with that blue hedgehog. He seemed nice. My condition can't be treated yet.
And it never will.
That fucking whiplash. I have good days and bad days. Right now I'm okay. On the bad days, sometimes I can't see. Sometimes it's hard to move or to hold things or to think clearly. It can be very scary and frustrating. But you've always been so patient and kind with me. Thank you, Shadow. The low gravity on the Ark helps keep my inflammation down. It doesn't treat my condition completely, but it has made it a bit easier to manage. Hence why she lived there. Even this strange void is interesting in its own way.
I suppose when you're that ill, having that kind of optimistic outlook does wonders, though, doesn't it?
Yep.
To be fair, sometimes it's all you can do.